for me, my faith has been a huge part of my life. I've never been shy when it comes to talking about it. I made that decision, I think, when I was like 8 years old. I did an I Am Second video, and was like, I'm just gonna put this out into the world because it's a part of me, and because you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I talk about everything else, and I have to, and people want me to, so I should be able to talk about this because this is a big part of what makes Bailee Bailee.
I'm personally really excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
I've kind of been a fan since Bridge to Terabithia, which I know was one of your very first movies.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, I was a, oh my gosh, baby Bailey that back then.
Yeah. You were adorable in that. And I just,
Thank
so
you.
yeah. And then I actually recently reviewed an episode of The Good Witch. So I saw you on there and I was like, oh, it's her. And then I did
Oh,
this
so
and
glad. Thank
yeah,
you.
no.
Thank you.
And then
Thank
I
you.
did A Week Away and, this movie, it released last week. So how are you feeling about it?
Oh, it's so wild. I remember like right before it was about to come out, it was like, morning of, and I was on with some of the Netflix team because they've been so lovely since I was able to, co-produce this and have just allowed me to be a part of the process as a whole for really like, especially the last 2 months. And there was this really bittersweet feeling in so many ways. I think one of it was like, no, I'm gonna miss all these like pre-calls, before it drops. Like it made my heart so happy. And also I think just the adrenaline of like, wait, now we're putting, our little movie that could out into the world. So it's like a very vulnerable feeling, I think, for the whole cast and our crew. And then once it hit midnight, it was out there. It was one of those where we all hit play at midnight, and then we were like, "Well, look, it's out. Like God's gonna do His thing at this point." So we're gonna just try to sleep a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. It's a lot of work. You were co-producer on this. So, as now being an actress and a producer, what do you think was the biggest challenge in filming this, either production wise or maybe just filming wise?
I would say so. We filmed this movie before we found our home at Netflix. So,
Yeah.
so when I say it's a little movie that could, it really was when we filmed this. And we didn't have a lot of time to shoot it. We had about 3 almost 4 weeks of dance rehearsals and recording, which does sound like a lot, but actually isn't for a musical. To learn all of these numbers. So it was a bit of like a crash course of wanting to make these dance numbers as big and as elaborate as we could in the time frame that we had it. And then our shooting schedule was obviously, I think it was 20 days that we filmed this movie, and our days were packed and crammed, and all of it was mostly outside. So you were dealing with the weather of it all. So I would say, the stress would just come if we were like in the middle of a dance scene and the sun was going down and we had like 5 minutes to,
Yeah.
to do it. And we were like, oh, okay, everybody, like, let's go.
Let's
So
hustle.
that would be, yeah, that would have been like the most nerve-wracking, parts of our days, was just making sure that we could, make our days at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys stayed on set. You guys were essentially doing a summer camp, right?
Oh, like sleeping there?
Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
We did not. Some of our dance crew actually did. So they got the full experience, whether they liked it or not, I think.
Yeah.
No, I went back to my hotel at night.
Oh, that's nice.
I did.
Got a
went
nice
back. Yeah,
solid bed and
I actually
shower.
found, yeah, we filmed in Nashville, and they had this little coffee shop by my hotel. And they did a Lucky Charms coffee. So that became my morning ritual. I'd get picked up, unless it was like crack of dawn pickup, then Lucky Charms was not available to go get. But I like found this great coffee. And so, that was my treat at the start of the day before I went to set.
I love Lucky Charms, so that's a good little treat.
Right? It was like all the
um,
marshmallows on top of the coffee. It was great.
that sounds like the kind of coffee that my dad would love. He loves
Then
Lucky
I
Charms.
then
He's the
then your
reason
dad
we
has
do.
good taste.
Yeah, exactly. Um, no, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, there's a lot of Christian music in this, and there were a few original songs as well. But
Yeah.
when I was watching it, as soon as they started singing "Saddle Up Your Horses," I went, "Oh my
Really?
goodness, I know this!" I was
I
like,
love
this is
that.
Stephen Curtis Chapman. I grew up with this. How did you grow up listening to this music, or was it all fresh for you?
No, so it was 50-50, I would say. So I hadn't heard Great Adventure before and I hadn't heard Dive. But I had grown up in my household listening to Christian music. You know, I've been raised faith-based, so that was a big part of my life was Christian music growing up. So Awesome God was like always, you know, a staple
Mm-hmm.
in our house. Place in This World is actually my older brother's one of his favorite songs. He was like, that was the first song when he was a teenage boy that like he cried to. He told me.
Oh,
And then God Only Knows, I'm a huge For King and Country fan. And
yeah,
I just remember being so excited that a song like this was able to be hitting it big in terms of just mainstream media in general. You know what I mean? It was a song that was
yeah,
being so well received and so many stations, and that to me was super exciting that we were able to take that song, because I think what that song did in the terms of music was the same thing that we were wanting to do with this movie, is how do we make this accessible for everybody, and then and share that love and that light and that message to everyone. So it was
yeah.
it could not have been, you know, a bigger honor to get to reimagine their songs for new ears to listen to.
Yeah, no, that actually kind of answers what I was going to ask next, which was how did you feel adding your voice to these songs, which are,
I mean, nervous, incredibly nervous. I've always wanted to do music. Never had the chance to. And then this script came and it was like, wow, this is gonna be my first chance to do music. Oh, and it's doing reimaginings of hits that like my family loves, that I love, by artists that are so respected. It was it wasn't a light task at all, and definitely, felt the weight in it, but what a beautiful weight to get to feel. It was always a beautiful experience, and a wonderful challenge. And I feel very grateful to the artist, and hopefully they like it. For King and Country actually tweeted out the God Only Knows mashup, and they tweeted me about it, and I was like freaking
Oh!
out. I was like, they like it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one because I've always loved Awesome God. And then when they
Yeah.
mixed it with the King and Country song, I was like, ooh, this is
Ooh,
awesome.
right?
I
There
like
it is.
this.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
No, and I think that people are really going to enjoy the music in this film. Like I said, I mean, I freaked out when I saw what was happening because, oddly enough, because I review so many movies, I don't always watch trailers, so I didn't know it was a musical
You
until
did it.
people started singing and dancing, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
That is so funny. There have been a few tweets of people being like, why are they singing in this? I'm like, it's a musical.
Well, it was really funny because even what Will's character in it, he's
Yeah.
like, "Wait, what? Why are you singing?"
Yeah. You
kind
know
of
what?
a
And I love that moment in there. And it felt like such a key thing going back and watching it, because it's like musicals. I love musicals, but they're also like bam, like they're in your, like you've got to be ready for a musical. And what I love so much about how we started is we don't take it seriously in the movie. Like we play on the bam factor of like, whoa, we're now in a musical world, and you feel like you're living with Will. Because even I, like when I watched it with the producers, when we watched the final cut a few weeks before it came out, we just all started, like I started cracking up and looking at them, and I was like, this is so funny, because we're poking fun of ourselves in like the best way that I think it works.
yes, yeah, no, I love that moment too. It kind of felt like Flynn Rider in Tangled, where they start singing in that little pub, and he's like, "What's happening?
I
Why are
love
we?
that.
Everybody knows the song."
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, no, it was great. Oh
Thank
my
you.
goodness.
I
Um,
love that you love it. This is the joy we wanted. So this makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, no, I think that Christian audiences, especially, like, I think they're really going to appreciate the fact that, like, for me at least, like, I didn't go to summer camp, but I did go to like a couple of church camps growing up. And
Mhm.
so, that were a week long. And
A
now
week
I
away.
feel like I kind of, Exactly, a
You
week
were a
away.
week away from home.
I kind of feel like I got, robbed because I didn't have the blobby thing.
Yeah.
There was no blobbing at my camps, but we did have like, team games and stuff. And though there was one scene where all you guys started singing dive and you're doing the water sports and
Yeah.
stuff. And that actually did feel kind of like church camp, because I noticed
Aw.
that like everybody had like t-shirts on over their bathing suits and stuff. And I was like, that's church camp.
Can I just say what makes me laugh about that? Like the guys' swimsuit shorts are shorter than ours. Like some of them. I was like, what the heck, guys? It was so funny to me.
Uh,
But yeah, no, we made a point, we had to we checked my jean shorts, the length from my knee to the jean shorts the whole movie. It was a big conversation. We had to make sure it reached the limit. Literally, they got
yeah.
like the exact measurement, so we made it those shorts. So that's funny that you saw that.
Yeah, no, I mean that was church camp, growing up, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was just kind of a funny little throwback.
Yeah, I love that.
um, no, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, obviously you're a Christian, and is this being a Christian film, you don't always get to do that in Hollywood, because you got to work, and
Yeah.
not every movie is going to be a Christian film. So how did you feel about getting to do this?
Oh, just very excited. I mean, I think for me, my faith has been a huge part of my life. I've never been shy when it comes to talking about it. I made that decision, I think, when I was like 8 years old. I did an I Am Second video, and was like, I'm just gonna put this out into the world because it's a part of me, and because you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I talk about everything else, and I have to, and people want me to, so I should be able to talk about this because this is a big part of what makes Bailee Bailee. Um, but I just remember reading the script and falling in love with it. I loved the fact that one, it was a film for the entire family. That's always something I want to try to be able to be a part of, something that is for everyone. Um, and then of course the faith-based aspects of it all. I think, to be a part of something that's so close to home as me being myself is a really beautiful thing. But I was also really excited about it because I felt like it was so much of me, and then also a chance for so many other people, whether they are on that journey with their faith or they're not, to be able to watch and enjoy this. Because the way I was raised was always, you love people and you love all and you spread your love,
Yeah.
and you're there for people. You know what I mean? That's a big part of our faith, and what we
Oh
are
yeah.
supposed to do is lend a hand and reach out. And so you never want to close down an opportunity to get to share that story. And so I thought that this script and this story was doing that in a beautiful way. It was offering love and light and faith and hope to everyone.
Yeah, no, I loved that aspect of it, because for me it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't those cringy preachy moments. In fact, I think the scene where you chase after Will, where Avery chases after Will to get him to come back to camp, she looks at him and she says, I know that this isn't going to make sense,
Yeah.
and this may not even help you, but she basically just says, she says it all. She's like, God does love you, even though you don't feel it. And I really liked that you brought a great emotion to that character, a very real and raw emotion, because it was just one of those moments where it's like, that is exactly what it's like in real life. I feel like I'm standing there.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that. We talked a lot about that scene, and we worked it up a lot. And then also the garden scene, because I think for all of us the big thing was, they kept asking me, they were like, well, what do you say to your friends? And I'm like, this is what I say. Or like, to my friends who maybe don't believe, they'll sit down, they'll ask me at a dinner that I'm having at the house, well, pre-COVID, and they'll be like, well, Bailee, like, how do you know? And we literally wrote in the script what I say to my friends, which was, I choose to believe. Like, that's faith, right? You know what I mean? And they were like, okay. And so we wrote it, and that's what Avery ended up saying, because we were like, we need to try our best to make this as honest as possible with the conversations that we have as believers. So I'm really happy that road scene touched you in that way. Thank you.
No, I love that. I love that it actually came from you. That actually adds to it, in my opinion. So like as a producer and everything on this, as a co-producer, do you feel that like I mean, do you feel like you were able to make those types of creative decisions more, or was it about the same as it normally is? Or
I would say more, in the sense of, um, I mean, now being older, and I've been fortunate enough to be on sets and stuff. The people that I've worked with, even as just an actor, has been so lovely, and for the majority, all open for conversations and things like that. But I would say once you step on in a behind the scenes element, your voice is heard. And I was fortunate enough to be around amazing producing partners who, I was
yeah,
19 at the time, who didn't look at me like a 19-year-old. Instead, they embraced my ideas or my thoughts, and it was collaborative in the most beautiful way. um but I would say I definitely felt more courage in order to say those things, because I was like, wait, you're allowed, like, this is something that you're allowed to say, and so with that it helped being able to, speak my mind and my voice a bit more. No.
do you think that do you want to do like more producing in the future?
I would love that. Yeah, I genuinely am like, now going forward, if I can produce anything that I'm in, it would be a no-brainer, just because I enjoy it with all my heart. It fulfills me in so many ways. And then I think directing is, next on the bucket list that I would
Next,
love to get
yeah.
to try out. Yeah.
That's awesome. We kind of talked about we touched on it a little bit, but I didn't really get to ask the question. I actually watched that video, the I Am Second video that you did.
Yeah.
And in it, you said that you and your mom would help you, pick scripts that were family friendly, that, weren't too far out there,
Yeah.
said they'd be appropriate because you wanted to honor God. Do you think that in the future, having maybe some of those producer credits and hopefully director someday credits, that you would want to create another Christian film like this, or maybe not
Yeah.
like this, but
I'm like, I have an idea. It's called 2 weeks away. It takes place no one's done it before. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I mean, I think one day, the talks of my own production company, that means that's a huge part of my heart. And I think the idea would be to get to create content that I believe in. And that is so many things that I believe in. And I love being creative and filmmaking as a whole. But yeah, 100%. I mean, that would be a dream. And I will say, I mean, hopefully this will happen one day, and that would be hands down something that would come out of the gates, is my whatever my version of sharing faith through the screen would look like. Getting to try that, absolutely.
yeah. So most of the people who were on set were Christians for this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of our producing partners we had a lot of faith people. I think what was great though is we had humans at the end of the day. I mean, our crew and our cast was just the most kind-hearted and beautiful people, people that grew up with this music, people that didn't, who were touched through this movie, who were touched by these stories. And I think that's what made it so special. There would be times people being like, oh my gosh, I never heard, like, why am I crying? And like, and we were there to give them a hug and to love them. And so it was a really safe space full of such diverse and wonderful human beings, and they all played such a huge part, I think, in making this film feel like it was created with so much love, because it was in fact created with that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's actually what I was going to ask next, was like, for maybe the people who are a little more on the edge, do you feel like they felt included or excluded? And it sounds like they felt very included. It sounds like you guys just
Oh
did a
yeah,
great job of loving them, which is
thank
totally
you.
the theme of the movie too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we've all got to, especially these days, we've all got to like look out for one another and just love
Oh,
people.
yes.
And I think there's so many messages in it that are just human messages, in the sense of like, we can't judge, and second chances are a thing. And how are we supposed to grow as human beings if no one is there to want to help or guide us or to be there? I mean, it can be a really isolating and lonely thing, trying to navigate life and downfalls and the beautiful parts of life if you have no one by your side. And so I think it's our duty to stand up for our neighbors and be there for one another.
So in the blooper reel, because I watched that because I thought it was hilarious. There's a scene where you and Kat Connor Sterling, you were doing a scene and she laughed or she made a face or something, and you both kind of lost it. And you were like, "That was my Oscar."
Yeah. No, she didn't make a face. She jumped out and scared me. She wasn't in the scene. She was hiding in the cabin, and she was there. And so the shot is me going inside the door, like, you know, saying goodbye to Will, and she jumps out. And Kat and I, like, she's my best friend. Like, I love this girl. I love her family. And we have a very like sarcastic, dry banter with one another. So when she jumped out, I was like, that was my best take. Because that's like something that I would never say. You know what I mean? and then I was like, that was my Oscar, Kat, you know? But no, she jumped out and she scared me. Our director, Roman White, told her to do that. And to be fair, my mom was on set. It was the last night of filming. My mom was on set that night and she was cracking up. And when we went home after wrap, she goes, "Bailee, I hate to say it." And I go, "What, Mom?" She goes, "It was your best take out of the bunch." I was like, "No, it's ruined." I was like, "Mom, why did you tell me that?" But yeah, no, she got me good. She got me good.
Well, it still turned out great in my opinion. We loved seeing you, loved the film. We're excited to, you know, go into this Easter weekend and just keep telling people, like, if you're looking for a fun family film, watch A Week Away. It's so
Thank
good.
You. Yes, that's exactly what we need. I love that. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bailee. Just loved having this conversation with you. Our viewers are going to love seeing you, and you are just delightful. So thank you so much.
Well, I've sort of grown up with you via the screen, so feels fitting that we're, you know, meeting via Zoom. But nice to meet you. And thanks for all the love, all the years.
Of course, absolutely.
I appreciate it. God bless you.